Saturday to do what I'm calling the Saturday Summit. And I wanted to highlight a few things for you. And first of all, let me just share my gratitude. All of the love, all of the support that we've been receiving as we started down this journey. And as most of you know, maybe you or some of you know, and not all of you know, that my background is in business development. That's what I've done. In addition to that, I am a believer, and I'm bold about that, and I'm upfront about that, and I want people to understand that about me. That when they engage with me, that understand that you're engaging. Not only am I a businessman, but I have biblical principles that I believe is instrumental in growing our businesses. And so today's Saturday Summit is really about a webinar that we are preparing to do in a couple of weeks. And this webinar is about men being ready and leading boldly in their homes, in their communities, in their businesses, and in their churches. And it's about this faith-driven idea. I'm going to invite you early. For those that are watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, like it if it's right, share it if you care, and subscribe so that you can keep these videos alive coming to you each and every week. And so I'm just gonna quickly navigate through this about maybe 30 minutes, highlight what I am intending to share. But let me do this first. A little bit about myself for those who don't know who I am. I mentioned Rich Williams. I got the nickname Wall Street a long time ago. I was working for I think it was a financial annuity company downtown Bethesda, Maryland. And I'm walking in the office, and one of my coworkers says, "Rich, you walk like you got money." And this is, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so ago. And one of my coworkers says, "Rich, you walk like you have money." And we laughed. And I said, "No." And they said, well, you walk like you have money. We're going to call you Wall Street. And we laughed. I said, "No, my name's Rich. Please call me Rich." And they just kept, every time I walked in the office, say, "Hey, Wall Street is here. Hey, Wall Street is here." So that was over 15 years ago. And so, the name stuck. And sometimes when people hear the nickname Wall Street, they want to ask me financial advice on, the stock market, et cetera. I do participate in the stock market. I do a little bit of Forex trading and optional trading, but I'm not your guy to go to as it relates to the financial decision. But that's the background on Wall Street. And what the idea, I believe, is what it conveys is there's an internal confidence that we have when we enter the market. People want to do business with people that are confident and competent. People want to do business. They want to do business with people that are confident and people that are competent. And it just so happened that my confidence and my competency is not only in education and business related experience, but my confidence and my competency comes as it relates to living a life that's devoted to Jesus Christ and exercising biblical principles in my business. So that at the end of the day, integrity matters. At the end of the day, loyalty matters. At the end of the day, we shake hands and the business is on, right? And so that's the operation that I come from. That's the ideal, and that's the thought. And so as it relates to men leading boldly, I have this slide, and we're going to go through the components of this slide as it relates to the idea and what I want to convey. Now, there are a couple of things that we want to pay attention to as we go through today, and that is leadership at home. I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership at home. We're going to talk about leadership in business. We're also going to talk about leadership in your community. And at the end, what are the next steps in the process? And understand this, frame, that you have to see yourself as a leader first. And leadership is not based upon assets. It's not based upon the number of individuals in your organization, the number of individuals in your business, the number of individuals that you lead in your community and or family. Leadership is the identification with ourselves and with what God has aligned us to do and walking that thing out. So there are dynamics and there are aspects of leadership that shows up. So as an example, leaders should always be patient and leaders should always be kind. You show me a leader that's impatient. You show me a leader that isn't kind, and I will show you a leader that is in the infancy stage or is underdeveloped in their leadership style. There is an emotional intelligence that should come with your leadership. There is the IQ, right? That
intellect quotient, and then there's the emotional quotient. There's the emotional status of a leader. And so I can always tell if a leader, if he or she is developed in their leadership by how patient they are and how kind they are, regardless of who they are talking to and what is going on, right? So I can always tell, I can identify leaders that struggle in that area. So I just wanted to give you a reference point that when I say leader, when I say leadership, where I am coming from, right? And where I'm going and where I'm coming from, my frame of point as relates to a leader. So the world is full of men, but very few step into their God given role as leaders. Now, listen, let me say this. I have to do the disclaimer when I do these type of, I'm talking to men, but it's on a public platform. Ladies, you're welcome to sit in on the conversation. Ladies, I am not minimizing your role. I'm not overlooking your role, the impact that you bring to the marketplace, the role that you play in the family, the role that you play in community. I believe leaders, women are leaders as well. And, I don't want this to be taken that it's male oriented, that I'm overlooking and ignoring. I just know that for this season, my assignment, my appeal is to men standing in the right place. A man that leads well at home is a man that will lead well in business and in the community. Home is your proving ground for the style of leadership. So, ladies, I got you covered. However, understand that for this immediate season, my heart, my desire is to help man move into what I believe God has an alignment and an assignment for your life. And an alignment and an assignment for your life. So we move into this leadership aspect and understanding that men, you need to step into this role. Now, if you're not sure of the role, if you're not sure on the steps, then at the end of today, I'm going to give you an opportunity to participate. I'm doing a 90-minute webinar, and currently it's scheduled for October the 4th. That's a Saturday. I'm choosing a Saturday. I believe there is enough going on throughout the week that could distract us from having this conversation, but I want it to be less distractions on a weekend. That ideally, I know people look forward to relaxing on the weekend, but I'm only looking for, like the military says, and I believe it's the Marines, a few good men. Now, to my military friends, if it's the Army that says that versus Marines, I apologize. But that's the thought, and I believe it is the Marines. But anyway, so someone put it in a comment if I'm wrong. Just correct it in the comment section. But so it may be October the 4th. I don't know. It depends. We may move it to later in the month if more men want to participate in that. So, but again, that's if you're either not sure, right? If you're not sure on your leadership role, position, opportunity, or you want to grow in your leadership opportunities as relates to biblical principles, then Saturday, October the 4th, it is for you. It's a 90-minute webinar. I'm going to roll it into a coaching for men, biblical business principles, bringing it together, rolling it into a coaching. I'm going to be connecting with experts that specialize in different areas. One of the individuals I want to connect with to help with this coaching is an individual that does mental health strategy. He's an expert in his field. There's another individual that I'm going to reach out to do the financial piece, how to create wealth legacy as it relates to where we are going and how we're going to get there. But and so understand that's coming October 4th. And the other thing is, set expectations. Today, I want you to start the process of setting expectations. Clarity, confidence, and strategy leads to boldness. Clarity, confidence, and strategy leads to boldly moving forward. So that if I'm not clear on my vision, if I don't have confidence about what I am doing, and if I don't create a plan, a structure, a process, a strategy for it to come to pass, then friend, it's going to be confusion. It is going to be all over the place, but we want to make sure that we're doing it in the right way, in the right fashion. And so I mentioned leadership at home. That's important. What is leadership at home? Well, the Bible says in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5, if anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church? Now, that's on the ministry side. But, friend, you know what? It's also true in business. If I am not emotionally stable at home, if I am immature in my role at home, it is going to show up in the marketplace. And so we want to make sure that we are locked in at home. We want to make sure that we are confident at home. We want to make sure that home is in order. I was having a conversation not too long ago with my wife, and we're going to have an ongoing conversation today because of what is in my heart, the vision that's in my heart, and how her and I can work together, and the vision that she has and the vision that I have, and we want to build this 100 plus acre. I don't know what else to call it outside of this, but we know that at the very minimum, 100 acres, where we want to carve out a place where people can come and be refreshed, where people can live in an environment, in a community that is biblically based, and is almost like the old television show Cheers, where everyone knows your name and they're always glad you came. But I'm very passionate about this, man, that we have to be the proper type of leader at home. The Bible says in Ephesians 5, chapter 5. Now, this is just talk. I'm talking specifically now to my married brothers. Bible says in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25, that we should lead, love, and serve our wives. That's leadership, right? If I can't do those three effectively well at home, listen, maybe you're not effective at it. Maybe you're not doing it well, but at least have it in your heart, have it in a desire that I want to lead at home. I want to lead my wife. I want to love my wife, and I want to know how to serve her. If you don't have that desire first, it's going to be challenging for you to manifest it and to introduce it into the home. So leadership starts at home and then it spreads abroad. When Jesus was talking with the disciples, he told them Judea, Samaria, and then the uttermost parts of the earth. Judea, Samaria, then the uttermost parts of the earth. It starts at home, it hit the community, then it spreads abroad. Then it spreads abroad. So you got to understand this leadership at home. Leadership starts with family foundation. What is your family foundation? Does your family have an article of organization? Do you have a covenant? My covenant at home, and my children, my son is 33 and married, and my daughter's 31, that we had this thing, everyone knows that everyone goes. So there are ongoing conversations with our children of what we are doing and how we are doing it, right? My daughter gave me, hey, listen, man, check out, mom. When you get a chance, don't do it right now because you're on this call. Go to Eden Official Music. You'll see my daughter doing her thing. I'm just really proud of her. She's moving down to this into music, and she sings with the Faith City Central Faith City Music Group at Faith City Central. Listen. This is a shout out. This is a not a shameless, but a proud boast of our shout out to Apostle Mike and Dr. Didi. They are the senior pastors of Faith City Central. Listen, man, if you're within a 300-mile radius of the Washington, D.C. metro area, I want to invite you to come hang out with us on a Sunday. We have an 8 a.m. service in Temple Hills, Maryland. We have a 10 a.m. service in the Brandywine, Maryland, at the Brandywine, Maryland campus. And we have a 10 a.m. service at the Baltimore, Maryland campus. That's the campus that my wife and I attend regularly. So if you're in the area, if you're close to Baltimore, I want to see you this Sunday, 10 o'clock there in the place. But again, I'm just really saying, just giving them a shout out as relates to what God is leading us, to do. But man, you got to have this. You got to have this leadership style in place at home. You got to have some type of constitution that says we as the Smith family, and then you list the things, right? And so that you share with your children, regardless of how young or how old they are. This is what the covenant of the Smith family is. This is what we will represent in the earth place. This is what we're going to represent in business. This is what we're going to represent in the community. This is what we are going to represent in church. And this is what we're going to represent for generation to come. Listen, Apostle Mike made this statement a number of months ago, and he was talking about structure and family. He said, you may not be responsible right? He said, you may not be responsible for the hands that brought the hand that you were delivered to when you were born, but you surely are responsible for the family that you may not be. Okay, let me get it right. Let me get it right. And again, if you're watching this and you heard Apostle Mike say this from Faith City Central, correct me on it. I believe he said it went something like this. You may not have. I just got an interruption signal. I don't know if you heard that, but anyway, so I believe the statement went like this. You may not have had a choice in the family that you were born into, but you do have a choice for the family that's born from you. I believe that's a connotation of what he said. In other words, when I was born, I didn't choose my family. My family decided on my birth. I didn't choose the environment that I was being born into. I didn't choose the habits, the success and or failure habits of my family that I was born into. But here's what I can choose. I can choose on the family that comes from me, the values, the principles, the success, the living trust, etc., etc., etc. Right. So that's what we mean when we say about this foundation. And then be present and be protective and be proactive in your family, guys. Be present, be protective, and be proactive. Be involved in your children's lives regardless. I'm finding out now. And I was having a conversation, my wife and my daughter and I last night, we were having a conversation again. My daughter's 31, and my son is 33 and he's married. And we were having a conversation she said, now I didn't say this, she said that your parenting is never done. And I said, man, it's true. I thought my kids got to 30, 20 something. And, I'm like, okay, hands off the wheel. You guys got this. But I'm involved on a weekly basis. And I love it because there is a level of respect that we have developed for one another. And I intentionally want to present myself as a safe place, judgment free zone. My wife and I both do this. We present ourselves as a safe place for our kids to land, regardless of what they're going through and or what they are currently doing. Do we as parents agree with everything that they do? Absolutely not. I may not agree with what you are doing, but the love that we have as parents has nothing to do with the behavior. Did you catch that, guys? This is part of what I say, that you got to be present, you got to be protective, and you have to be proactive. You have to create an environment where your family, your children, they feel safe coming to you. Strong homes build strong leaders. And so we'll get into more details as it relates to what I'm sharing today in the 90-minute webinar. And then I'm going to create at this point, it's going to be at least a 6-week coaching for men. And we're going to go through each of those areas. And again, you'll see the information when we're ready to do it. I'll send it out to you if you want to be involved. Would love to have you join us. The other thing is leadership in business. Now, the Bible says in Colossians 3, 23 and 24, whatever you do, work at with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Understand that we lead with purpose and not just with profit. That lead with purpose. I was having this conversation the other day, and I was actually it was a panel discussion, and there were some other business owners, and we had people that was on the call that was interested in innovation and creativity in your business and in your home, etc. And so I was sharing with them that oftentimes frustration in life comes when we are doing a lot of activities, but we don't have an objective for the activity. Oftentimes, frustration in life, frustration at home, frustration in business happens because we have a lot of activities and we don't have objective. We haven't established objectives. So we are busy, but we're not productive. We are busy and we are not productive. Therefore, the temptation is to focus on the what that is currently happening and not the why that I decided to start this business, the why being the reason I decided to marry her. The why is the reason I decided to, whatever the why is. When we lose track of why, what is happening in my business frustrates me. Let me give an example. There was a time in business where I was not successful. I didn't make the right decisions. We had a company years ago, carpet cleaning company. It grew from me with a little small Kirby vacuum cleaner to 6 or 7 employees. And all of this happened within, like a year. We went from a small Kirby vacuum cleaner, me knocking on doors that first year. We made $783 in sales, but our expenses were $3,446. How do you remember that? Because I talk about it all the time and is registered in me. The second year, we went from that loss to gaining 2,000 a month, 4,000 a month, 5,000 a month. We was high as 10 or $11,000 a month. And in today's economy, that's like $21,000 a month. Just my wife and I and a few other people. But then challenges showed up. We had financial difficulties. We had tax issues. It got so bad that banks in my city would not cash checks from my company. That's bad. Can you imagine you work 10, 15, 20 hours or whatever the number of hours was? You go to the bank said, I can't cash that check. And so we had employees coming back and say, hey, I couldn't cash my check. The bank said, and we had to make maneuver, move cash from here to here. Here's a cashier check. It was crazy. Now that experience could have either killed the dream or provided an opportunity to learn and be an accelerant for the dream. I chose to look at it as an accelerant to my dream. In other words, I never forgot my why. I never forgot my why. So when what was happening, I remembered my why. Does that make sense? And so that's why it's important to lead with purpose and not just profit. So you want to shift from survival to kingdom minded growth. From survival to kingdom minded growth. Your business is influence, not just income. Let that register. Your business isn't just about influence in your marketplace, right? Your business isn't about income in your marketplace. It's about influence in your marketplace. And how do I gain influence in the marketplace? You gain influence in the marketplace when you have that consistency and you're confident and you're competent. I'm setting up a training to do this. Training is specifically will be for brokers and those that own real estate franchises. I'm going to show you how you can grow your office from the inside out and not necessarily rely on recruiting from the outside in. Outside in. Now I understand. Now I was a leader in a real estate company. I was with the Keller Williams franchise. I was a team leader for a number of years. I understand the recruiting. You got to recruit, select, and train. Am I right, Keller Williams? Drop a one if I'm telling the truth. You got to recruit, select, and train. I understand that model. I support that model. What I found over the years is inside of an environment like that, there is a tremendous opportunity to recruit from the bottom up. There is a tremendous opportunity to grow your organization, to grow your franchise from the bottom up. And so I decided over the past 8 years, I'm going to focus on how to do that. And so, but the point that I'm making is that you have to have the consistency. You have to establish the culture. You're going to have to establish a connection and you're going to have to establish your consistency. And so that's how you move with influence and not just income. And then the final piece of this leadership in business, which we're going to talk in more details in the webinar, is that the UVP and the MVP. And I don't mean the most valuable player. UVP is your unique value proposition. Why in the world would anyone do business with you? Because I'm a Christian business. Okay, all right. I'm going to play a little bit of challenging. Someone said, "Why should I do business with you?" Because I'm a Christian business. Here's my response. So what? So what? It's a great reason, but it shouldn't be the only reason. Am I making sense? So, what's your unique value proposition? Your unique value proposition. Your unique value proposition is typically three, four, or five things that are a value. That's a value. It's that your core value as a business owner that you take to the marketplace. And then your MVP. Your MVP. And again, MVP is not most valuable player. It is your mission, vision, and purpose. Mission, vision, and purpose. Understand this, friend, that your mission and your vision is two separate things. Your mission and your vision is two separate things. And so you got to understand this process of building a mission statement, right? that's tapped in or submerged into a vision, and that vision is connected to why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's how you lead in business. That's how you establish the right kind of leadership in business. And then leadership in your community impact must be extend beyond yourself, serve as a mentor, uplift others, and legacy. I love this. Legacy is built when others rise because of you. That's a sobering thought. Legacy is built when others rise because of you. That's powerful stuff right there. Other rise because of you. So that's it, friend. I hope that you got value out of this. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button so that when we do more videos like this, more content like this, you'll get that information as well as the summit that we have going. So leadership isn't just given, it's chosen. I want you to step into your leadership daily. I want to invite you to join us for a 90-minute transformational webinar. $97 includes a workbook, it includes an ebook, and it includes a 30-day business journal. And we have an early bird up until October 2nd. After that, the cost is $124.97. And then the third thing I want to invite you to is to join our community. We have a Facebook community. It's called the Biblical Business Builders Circle on Facebook. It's a private group. So when you see the group, you can ask to join the group, and then myself or someone from the team will add you to the group. So that's it, friend. I hope that you found value. Rich Wallstreet Williams from the Motivate Podcast Show. In the Motivate Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely want to believe for more. I'll see you soon. Let's get it.